I had a friend who had become homeless, who had a shelter, in an all-men's shelter, and he was able to share his room with me, which I will forever be grateful for, because all the men in this shelter in Ottawa right here, they could have went and told on me to social workers, told about me and say like, oh, well, she's living here and she's not allowed to live here. But no one did that. In fact, all of them were very protective of me. So when I got out of homelessness, I made it also my mission to be able to turn back one day and support homeless people.
They're coming down to the wire. At the center's handed. Reach right. He's coming up on the inside.
It's weird. I used to get allergies really bad in the spring, but now it's flipping to fall.
Yeah.
Which is annoying because fall is my favorite season. It's like, why do you got to do me like that?
I went through a phase thinking I was allergic to weed because I'd smoke it and then my nose would get stuffy. And like, I was so convinced. I would just like, just with my girlfriend, I'd be like, Meg, I swear, like I wasn't stuffy. I'm high now. I cannot breathe. Like this has to be connected.
I hope you don't have asthma.
Is fall your favorite like season to work with fashion? Because I feel like fall is the most like versatile because you can kind of do whatever you want.
You know what? It's like, yes, because I like being comfortable. And as much as like I love the sun, I also love the cold, because then you can like be warm and be cozy.
It's like the whole like, would you rather be cold all the time or hot all the time?
Cold
because
all
like
the time.
cold all the time because it's so nice to get warm as opposed to like being hot and like cooling off. Like it's a quick fix. But like
Definitely. I would rather be cold.
You want to kick us off with an intro here?
Yeah.
Let's do
I think
it.
that's
This
it.
is a good. This was a really good small talk part that we just had. So let's just keep it going. You hit us with an intro, and then we'll kick going to this whole thing.
Yeah, man. Welcome. I guess it's weird because we would have just done our news segment, which we talk about like weird news stories going on, where John and I are making like ridiculous jokes, and now we're transitioning into this super. Yeah. Like, you know, because I feel kind of bad almost, you know what I mean?
I thought that, but I was like, you know what? People come here for two reasons: the news and for our fucking fire interviews, man.
And we got a special guest in the house. We got Gwen Madiba. How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
You have a crazy resume.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's
Like-
crazy that we even locked this down right now. Like, you're all over the place.
Yeah, you
I
got like 2017 you're Miss Universe. You're also the North American ambassador for Nelson Mandela. What was it called?
The Mandela Legacy Foundation.
Right.
Yes.
And that was from like 2014, 2016.
Yes.
And then you're also sponsored by God, created that clothing brand. You just do a lot.
You have
do
another organization. You said it too. I can't remember the name.
Yes, Equal Chance.
There it is.
And then the Global Black Coalition, the GBC.
And you just got a show.
Yes. Growing forward.
How's that going?
It's growing.
What's that going to be about?
It's basically going to be about a moment in people's lives where they had to grow. And so it's looking at some of our favorite public personalities and moments of their lives that they haven't really spoken about yet, where they had no other choice but to grow forward. But it's also interviews with neighbors and people who are super inspiring, like some of the homeless mothers that got out of homelessness. We actually have one mother that got out of homelessness in 2 years and became a homeowner. So it's just sharing their stories, their journey, and how powerful deciding to grow forward can become.
How are you feeling like walking away from one of those conversations?
Man.
Inspired,
Yeah.
Inspired and grateful as well, because for some of the families that I'm talking about, I've been in their lives for years and I've seen them struggle. I've tried my best with other organizations as well to support them, and to be able to be there to witness their journey from homelessness to home ownership is just inspiring.
No, that's
It
awesome.
hits different, definitely.
Yeah,
The work you do is like super inspiring. And what I think inspires me most about it is that you're on the ground level. Like you're out here fighting. Like, how does that like make you feel at the end of your day?
It makes me feel great and grateful, because my purpose in life is to be in service of others. I deeply believe that, and I've believed it since I was a kid. And to be able to walk in that purpose, live that purpose, is just a feeling that I can't even describe. So I'm really grateful.
You can be honest now. You can be honest. Do you ever get tired of being this inspirational all the time? Like, I watched your TED Talk and I was like, damn, that's inspirational as fuck. And then we just had a little pre-interview for another thing. And I was like, damn, I want to high five you like 8 times. I said that. It must be exhausting being this inspirational.
I mean, like, it's just, for me, I see it more as walking in my purpose and just being able to do what I'm sent on this earth to do, which is to help.
Here she goes again. Here she goes again. Like, come on.
It's true.
Do you not feel pressure like every time you walk in a room, like, okay, I gotta like spit a couple gems?
Yeah, like,
no, I think, it just has to come from your heart, and you just have to speak your truth. And honestly, if my truth is this inspirational according to you, I am grateful.
Well, you have some unbelievable stories, and like we were saying, your TED Talk, you had a lot of great things to say. It's just like, man, like, how do you, like, he was wondering as we're watching, he's like, hey, this is like a 16-minute TED Talk that you just like destroyed. It's like, did you script that, or is that all off the top?
No,
like,
you know what? Even like if I have to write a speech, I always do it the day of, because the pressure pressure makes diamonds, I think.
That's pretty down to the wire.
But honestly, when it's a talk like this, or we're having a conversation like the conversation we're having today, or it's like a TEDx talk or anything like this, I rather just get out there and just share. Yeah. And whatever comes out will come out. And I feel like that's the best thing, and the greatest ideas and the greatest things sometimes comes from just not preparing anything and just going and having the theme and just respecting the theme and trying to share as much as you can.
I like that.
It's crazy too, because like you work in such a diplomatic industry, you know what I mean? That I feel like there's a lot of room for fakeness, and a lot of you talk a lot about, it's all about meeting people, making connections and building relationships with people. How do you stay so authentic then?
I think the world has a lot of fakeness, and the world has a lot of people who have different intentions, and to be honest with you, when I started working even in nonprofits, I was really naive about people's intentions, even partnering with certain organizations and doing certain things. I didn't understand the word agenda, and that people came with agendas. And I got hit hard, especially during this work in Ukraine, with this agenda, and understanding that there's some peoples whose intentions are just not pure, and you need to remove yourself from that as soon as possible. And I think that I've mastered removing myself from environments that are not pure and that do not respect the work that we're doing. I've had situations, even working with homeless families, where I was approached by a group that was doing damage, but serious damage within the community, serious damage in the lives of some of these homeless people. And I was offered certain things to be able to side with them, and I refused, because for me, my integrity is everything. The integrity of the people that I work with is everything, and you need to learn how to say no, even if that no is going to block certain doors, even if it's going to make people say certain things. As long as you stay true to yourself and true to the people that you're actually doing this work for, that's all that matters.
How do you learn to say no? Because I think that's a problem, I don't know, everyone deals with at times in their lives,
I think that circumstances pushed me to say no. How mean-spirited some people are pushed me to say no, because people will push you to limits and places that you didn't even know you could reach. And so even for me to stand my ground and be able to not fear, for example, men, because in the industries and the work that I do, I have been confronted to a lot of misogyny. I have been confronted to a lot of men who have come up to me in ways that were extremely disrespectful, I actually worked for an organization where there was this one man that kept telling me, you need to go home and take care of your child. Like it was his business to tell me this. Because there's certain things that he wanted to do that I wasn't allowing within the space.
You just didn't want, yeah.
Yeah, or like things that I discovered they were doing that was wrong. And so they were trying to push me out. And their way to push me out was to question my motherhood.
Wow.
Which is something that
Damn.
I've never allowed. I know who I am. My son tells me every day I'm his best friend now. And I'm the best mommy. I don't think I am the best mommy, but I think I'm the best mommy to him. And that's all that matters.
This has me like wondering, because, you know, you're in the political sphere and you're also in the fashion sphere, two industries where you have a lot of, like we were just talking about, like fake people in them, just trying to like push a certain image, but in reality they have these agendas. So I'm just kind of curious, like how do you, like not only like you say, like how do you say no, but how do you
cut through that shit?
Like more like how do you read people? Because you didn't like notice that.
Oh,
so,
you
like,
read them. You already know.
Right in their eyes.
Yeah, well, you
did it
read.
take-
I mean, like
them,
the
man.
thing is, like we all have the capacity to have a spirit of discernment. We all have a spirit of discernment. And I know even the two of you, there are situations where you were like, don't do that, because I know if I do that, this is going to happen. But you still did it and it happened. And you knew it. You could prevent
How'd you know
it.
I did that?
I can see this. You would actually see danger and walk right into it and be like, dude, it's all good. YOLO.
You just look at her like, yeah, he's definitely made some bad
You'd
decisions.
be like,
he knew were going to be
YOLO,
bad.
it's okay. But, but you just, you know when something is off, when someone is not right, you just know it. You know it. And then it's up to you to decide if you're going to entertain that or close that door. And it doesn't matter how much people try to intimidate you. This is something that I had to learn as a woman, as a human being. It does not matter who's in front of you, whether it is, the president of the United States, the prime minister of Canada, I don't know, Shakira or whomever you admire. It doesn't matter who's in front of you. You have the same capacity to achieve greatness. You have the same rights, technically. And you have to stand your ground. You have to know who you are. And that's all about knowing who you are. Like, if you know who you are and you stand your ground, no one will be able to play with you. People played with me for so many years that at one point I've had enough. And I just cut everybody off. I actually prayed. I was like, Lord, can you please remove anyone or anything that is not of you and should not be in my life? And I kid you not, slowly but surely, everybody started disappearing. Everything, even my clothing brand before, everything disappeared. And then it was like fresh start. I was able to rebuild.
How much of your career do you credit to faith?
Oh, everything. Like literally everything. I don't think that I would be here if it wasn't for my faith and me believing in God. For me, everything is a question of faith. Even the spirit of discernment, it comes from God, I think. And yeah, I think that, we have to walk by faith and not just by sight, and knowing that even when we don't see the end of the tunnel, I always say that we have to remember that even if we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that we are the light within the tunnel, and that we have the light with us within the tunnel, and that we have a responsibility to enlighten ourselves and to encourage ourselves before anybody else does.
I was just thinking, just all these like battles that you go through, because you have some crazy experiences that you've gone through, and you always mention like you have your faith to stick by you. How do you like keep going, and not only like keep going, but you say you cut everyone off, so you feel very independent in this, like you're coming at this like as an individual, and you said when you're in front of these people, like to know your worth. How did you find that? Because I feel like most people, like now you're in a position now when you walk in a room, your value is felt, but when you're starting out and you feel like you don't have value, how did you find that?
Well, first through faith, but also knowing that, there are people, it doesn't matter if you have a title or not, if you've achieved something or not, for as long as you know where you want to go. I don't ask children, what do you want to become? I ask them, where do you want to go? And who are you? So they tell me, like, even a few weeks ago when I was in Gabon with UNICEF, some of the children were telling me, I am a singer, I am a doctor, I am. And for me, it's really important to allow, especially children from a young age, understand you are what you want to become. So start acting like it, start talking like it, start walking like it. And then there are some people, whether they have titles or not, when they step in a room, you feel their presence. Because they're so real, they're so confident, they know where they're going. They may not have what they want to have. They may not be where they want to be, but in their mind, they're already there. And I say this with the utmost humility, you know, it's not that they're cocky or arrogant. And sometimes people are just, they're confident and they're genuine, but some people feel uncomfortable around them because they're not comfortable with who they are. So then they perceive their confidence as arrogance, but it's actually not. It's only arrogant when it's triggering a person's insecurity.
Right.
Because I've been in rooms where someone is like, this person is arrogant, and I talk to the person, they're actually the sweetest people.
Yeah.
They're just sure of themselves.
Yes, but they're not even rude. They're not doing anything. They're just standing there.
Yeah.
But then people are like, oh, I feel that. But you haven't even had a conversation with the person. You did not even give the person a chance, but you feel that because you don't feel confident. And I think that people have to really tackle their own insecurities and really give themselves a chance before criticizing others.
100%. And I think, I feel like you know who yourself are. You said earlier, you feel like your purpose is, and I've heard you say this before too, is to be in service of others, which is like a heavy purpose. Like, it's a heavy sentiment to like hold you. Like, my purpose in life is to be in service of others. How did you, like, when did you first realize that? And is that something that you think is everyone has within them, or only certain few people have that purpose?
I think a few people, some people, a lot of people maybe have that. I think we all have a different purpose in life. I take this from my mom. My mom was a pediatrician, and she was working in a hospital back home where she saw families, children being turned away because they didn't have enough money to pay for a surgery or pay for services. And she would use her own money, her salary, to be able to help others. And then she would come home and she was super upset. Like, I can't believe they did this. They were almost not going to take this person. This is ridiculous. Like, we need better systems. We need a better healthcare system. We need this and that. And so it started there. And when we moved to Canada, she was really motivating us to volunteer and serve food at the Shepherd of Good Hope and places like that. So I think it really comes from my mom, and it's something that I really connected to. My mom takes it from her mother as well, who was like that. And I remember when I would travel to Senegal as a child, my grandma always had a lot of children home that were not hers. And when we came here, my mom had children home that were not hers as well. And then growing up, now that I just think about it, I've had children in my house that are not mine as well, but say they're mine. I'm like, yeah, I'm your mommy too. I'm your bonus mom, you know. And like when I was at
cool mom.
Cool mom, you know, it really touches my heart. Actually, when I was at the shelter before I traveled back to the bordering countries of Ukraine a month ago, I went to visit some of the children that I work with. And they had other community members there visiting them. Like, there was a bike co-op showing them how to put on a helmet on, etc. And one of the kids, he said to an officer that was there, "Oh, that's my mom." And then he paused and he was like, "Are you my mom?" He said, "No, that's my stepmom." I was like, "Wait, what?" and then he said, "Wait, are you my mom?" I was like, "Well, kind of. I mean, your bonus mom." And he was like, "Yeah, that's my bonus mom. And I love her." And I was like, what? Like, these children actually see me like their mommy, you know, and it's amazing. Honestly, it's an amazing feeling.
Do you ever, like, you know, you're out here like saving the world, let's say it. We'll just call a spade here. Like, we're out here doing God's work, right?
Yes.
Do you ever feel like, you know, you must get tired, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, you want me to get tired? That's the second time you asked me.
No, I know. Now it's on camera.
No, I do get tired. And you know what? It's a great question that you're asking, because self-care is important.
Right.
And like sometimes we're so like, go, 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 go. I want to achieve all these things. I want to do all these things, that you burn out. And one big issue I used to have before is I would pass out. Like I would literally be having a conversation with someone and get dizzy and collapse.
Huh.
And that was very, very difficult for me.
Seems unhealthy.
Yeah, it was so unhealthy.
Should probably go get that looked at.
I did, like it was like anemia and like a bunch of stuff, like low iron, and I needed to take care of myself. So at one point I had to learn to say, okay, you know what? It's enough. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take like a 1 week break, 2 weeks break, a month break. And that has worked out well for myself. And that goes back to like not entertaining negativity. I try my best to do everything with dignity, not entertain negativity, focus on my activity, and just move forward and surround myself with love, with people who love me, with people who understand me and understand my mission, and people that I can empower and who can empower me back. Your environment is extremely important. Your network determines your net worth, and not just like financial net worth, intellectual net worth, spiritual net worth, all of that. So it's really important to know who you surround yourself with. Like my older brother, he used to tell me like, if you have like 5 broke friends, you're going to be the 6th broke person. If you have 5 miserable friends, you're going to be the 6th miserable person. And I used to think he was a bitch, like, because he was always so like, yeah, I'm not going to take this and no and this. And he was always so straight. But then I realized that in the midst of his, whatever that was, he was actually right on so many things and so many levels. It's true. If you surround yourself with like negativity, you're going to rotten.
Yeah.
I feel like, did you ever feel like, because you're always like doing the most that you can to be servicing others and giving off all of your positive energy, do you ever feel like, man, when's it gonna be my turn? When's someone gonna service me?
You know what? It comes full circle, because you have to know why you do these things. What's the reason? What's your why? Why are you supporting these people? Why do I work with homeless families? Like, why am I so focused on low income and homeless families? It's also because it's an experience that's very dear and close to my heart. When my dad was murdered in 2006. He was the main person like bringing income at home. And then when he passed, things became very, very difficult for me and for my family. And when I came back to Canada after his funerals, like my scholarship wasn't really coming through because of delays back home, etc. And then my landlord finally said, it's enough. Like, I'm kicking you out, which I respect and understand, because if you have a rent to pay, you need to be able to pay that rent, But I do think that, in a lot of cases, people have to be kinder. Landlords have to be kinder. But I do also respect the fact that many landlords, they work hard, they have families to feed. And if you're not paying that rent for like months, we're not talking a month or 2 months that you can't afford it, but like for months, that, you have to be able to leave the space. So I had a friend who had become homeless, who had a shelter, an all-men's shelter, and he was able to share his room with me, which I will forever be grateful for, because all the men in this shelter in Ottawa right here, they could have went and told on me to social workers, told about me and say like, oh, well, she's living here and she's not allowed to live here. But no one did that. In fact, all of them were very protective of me. So when I got out of homelessness, I made it also my mission to be able to turn back one day and support homeless people. And it took me 3 months. I had 3 jobs. I was just doing the most to get out of the situation. I was able to do that. While I was homeless, I met a lot of other homeless people. I met drug addicts that were in the streets. I actually even met a guy from my country who was a professional boxer, a champion, who became homeless and a drug addict. And I remember him when I was a kid, because when they came for the Jeux de la Francophonie, the Francophonie Games, my dad was actually the one coordinating their trips, and they disappeared because they wanted to stay in Canada. And one of them like made it and is like, he has a family here and he has a business. He actually has a successful gym here. And the other one became homeless. But it was great to have a conversation with him. And I knew that he didn't know who I was. And then one day when I got out, I told him who I was. I was like, I know you. I remember you when I was a kid. Do you know my dad? And he was like, who's your dad? And when I told him, he was crying. And it was just such an emotional moment for me.
You a workaholic?
I am. You know what? And I'm going to be honest with you. I think that for years, I literally took my pains and put that in work so that I could forget my own reality and I could forget my own pains. And I think we need to be honest, because, you know, like in a world that glorifies like workaholics and entrepreneurs that are doing this and saving the world, you have to be very honest as well. And a lot of the work that I did was also to run away from my own pain. And if I was able to take pain away from other people, it made me feel like I was taking pain away from myself as well. And I think that's something that we don't talk about often. But I believe it is important to note and to say as well. Not everything that you see on social media is perfect. And every action, everything has a story, has a reason behind. I take my work with homeless and low-income families very seriously, because when I was homeless and I didn't have much, no one took my life seriously. I didn't get the support I was supposed to get. And so it's kind of like a way for me to like revenge by helping others and making sure that they're okay. You know, when I'm in front of a slumlord who treats like homeless families like crap, when I'm yelling at him, I'm actually yelling not just at him for what he's doing to them, but I'm also yelling for all of the times where no one could stand up for me, or where people thought that it was okay to treat me a certain way because I had no income.
You know, they say revenge is sweet, but this might be the sweetest revenge story of all time. I'd also just like to note, I don't think I've ever met someone who got evicted and was like, you know what, but they, you know, they were just doing their job. You know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy line to take.
You know, but it's like, for me, it was months. Like,
no,
months.
I understand. And like,
but don't get me wrong. Like, there are slumlords out there, and there are landlords that have no heart at all. Like, I deal with many of them where it's like, we try to make arrangements for families and they don't care. Or they're like landlords that take their rights to levels that are just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing putting a 5-month-old baby in the middle of winter outside? What are you doing cutting the heat in the home of a 3-month-old baby and her single mother who needs help? Like, what's wrong with you?
You're fucked, you psychopath.
Yeah, you're actually, this is not okay. This is not normal. So I just really don't want this to be like, interpreted as it's okay to no, absolutely not. For me, it was like over 8 months. You know, he was very patient and like he was trying as well to, you know, help me get a job. So it was a different story. He was a different type of landlord. So that's why I can say that. But in many cases, it's just horrible.
How are you like finding that balance of, because yeah, it's a huge thing right now. It's like, yeah, like that hardworking, you know, like, let's, you know, I'll get rest when I'm dead. You know what I mean? Like, let's just work hard. But no one's taking time to reflect on themselves and their own pains. And even like Kevin Hart, like that guy does 1,000,001 things. And he even said in interviews, like, yeah, I think I do it just to distract myself from like what I got going on. How did you find that balance of like identifying your pains, dealing with them, but also still doing all this work that's helping others?
I mean, that's a good question. Like, do we ever fully find balance? And the answer is no.
How do you be okay with that?
I mean,
you don't.
Yeah, like sometimes you just
You cry into your pillow at nighttime, and then you get up and throw a smile on and do it again the next day.
No, sometimes you just have to pause. That's
Yeah.
when you pause and you reflect. I mean, praying has been helping me a lot. Just being able to meditate on the word and praying and understand that there's like a Bible quote for everything that I go through that I can reflect back on. And having friends that are prayer warriors is what keeps me going, you know, understanding that a better tomorrow is coming, and also understanding that I'm also the light within the tunnel. That keeps me going, and just catching situations before they happen. Being able to not contour situations, but bolt through them and grow through them is really important. And that's why the whole thing comes back to knowing when to say no, when to stop, when to take a break, when to say this is not okay and this will never be okay and this cannot continue. Knowing your worth, knowing where you're going, knowing who to help as well, and when to stop helping. Because you have to be able to help people who want to help themselves.
Yeah, like when do you... it's going to sound pretty shady to say, but like, when do you give up on someone? Like, you've tried so hard.
When they give up on themselves and are aggressive about it and are literally telling you, I don't want your help anymore. Leave me alone. I respect that. You know, I don't give up on people easily. I always try my best to push through and push and make people understand that their life is really in their own hands, you know, and that they have... You have to help me help you. I can't help you if you don't want to be helped. And if you don't allow me to help you, help yourself, you know? And so if people tell me I don't want to be helped, like leave me alone, I say, okay. And then sometimes they call back and they're like, actually, now I need help. And it's fine. I think that the big thing in this is never taking anything personal. Knowing that people are going through things. People are going through situations, and sometimes, unfortunately, you will be the bag that they throw everything in. But you also have a responsibility to protect yourself and sometimes say, hey, this is not okay, and this is not how it's going to be going down.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. Actually.
Yeah, you just don't take things personal. Everybody goes through something. It's like someone honking aggressively at you while you're in the car. They're not honking at you. They're honking at their problems. They're honking at themselves. They're honking at a lot. Like sometimes people are so impulsive and like overreact to things, and you know you're not the problem. Like I was watching this video, I think it was yesterday, of this guy on a boat in Gatineau, like bolting through another boat for no reason. And like he literally like went and hit another boat, and you see like the person that is filming, he's like, oh my God, he's coming at us. I'm like, move your boat, you know, like try to move it. But he's filming it and he's like, oh my God, because sometimes panic takes over you and you just freeze. And then the first thing that came to my mind was, in French, there's a word, récidiviste, meaning it's a person that most likely already did that in the past. I don't know how to say that.
Repeat offender.
Repeat offender. The first thing was like, this guy has to be a repeat offender, because no one just takes their boat and like just goes at people like this. He must have done something else, like maybe not with a boat. But then when I researched and looked at news articles, there are many other people who said, oh, that's not the first time he did that. He did that many times before, but maybe that's the first time he's caught on camera. So a lot of times people don't deal with their issues, and then they bring their issues out in the world. So you know that lady that is yelling at you in the street, it's not the first time she's yelling at someone. Or that guy that's yelling at you, it's not the first time. They're probably used to doing this, and that's how they express their pain.
And they just need someone to talk to.
Yes.
Next time someone beeps their horn at me in the car, I'm like, you okay, man? You good?
Pull over, man. Let's have a conversation.
You know?
Just try not to do that in the USA.
You have a really interesting, you have many interesting stories, but you have a really interesting story about your experience, like really betting. Yeah, one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard. It almost brought me to tears when I heard it. Like, it got me goosebumps about you betting on yourself and going out to Africa for Miss Universe? I know the video's already out there on YouTube because I have like a big follow-up question for that. But first, to give context, can you explain your experience with Miss Universe?
Yes. So there was Mrs. Universe, and I went there because I was asked to represent my country. And I had never done that in my life. I've hosted Miss Gabon and stuff like this, but I had never, ever participated in pageants in my life. And I thought, hey, this is a new challenge. Why not? I prayed on it and I felt really good about it. And then 2 days before my trip, I got a call from one of my biggest sponsors who said, well, you know what? We think that it would be a waste of time to send you for you and a waste of money for us and resources because you've never done pageants in your life. And you're going to be competing against Russians and Latinas who've been doing this their whole lives. Black women barely make it to the top 20. In fact, they never do. So let's just not do it. I had already paid for fees, registration fees, which were not refundable. And so I thought, you know what? I've prepared. God is telling me I can do it and I will do it. And I can do all things through he who strengthens me. So I will go and do it. I went to my embassy, the embassy of Gabon, as I was representing the country. And I told them, hey, if I make the top 20, can you please help me with a plane ticket back? Because right now I can only afford a one-way ticket, which is also a difficult way because it made me do a 2-hour bus ride to Montreal, 7-hour bus ride to New York, 12 hours plane to Dubai, and then 8-hour plane to Durban with no flight back because I didn't have the money to. I could not afford it. And so they said, the ambassador said, no, not if you make the top 20, if you make the top 5. And I remember him laughing because I believe that maybe he thought I could not do it. So long story short, I went, spent a week there, night of the event, past the top 20, past the top 10, past top 5, make it to the top 2 and make history as the first Black woman to do that in that specific pageant. And so then when I got to my hotel, I had so many phone calls and a plane ticket in my email from the ambassador of my country to invite me actually first back home to Gabon to celebrate with the people of my country and celebrate with many of the children and young women that were looking at this pageant.
That's amazing. Like, it's just, yeah.
Just before we go, I just want, like, I'm just picturing, like, the Kanye West Grammy speech.
Yes, Kanye.
You guys wonder what I'd say if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
That is the ultimate I bet on myself story I've ever heard. Going out one-way ticket. The only way you go back is if you get top 5.
Yes.
And like you said, like the odds were not in your favor.
Yes.
And like what I want to ask from that is, you've had all these experiences, like, you know, your father's been murdered, you were homeless, you know, this issue with like Miss Universe, like being like everything going against you, you have to take it upon yourself to go do it. You've gone through so much, and I can only imagine that you come across as a very positive person, but you've definitely had bad days. And I just want to know, like, how do you operate on a bad day? Like, what does a bad day look like for you, and how are you getting through it?
I cry because that's important to me. I just have to release sometimes. I just cry, and I pray a lot. I call friends who are prayer warriors and I just pray with them. I always know that better days are coming, and for as long as there's life, there's hope. And as long as there's hope, there's possibilities. As long as there's possibilities, I can achieve them. I can do all things. And so that's what I hold on to, hope. And I know that, you know, my grandma in Portuguese used to say tudo passa. And tudo passa means like everything goes. Like in French, we say tout finit par passer. No matter what you go through, life goes on. And one day you're going to look back and it's going to be behind you. And whatever happened in the past, happened in the past. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. It doesn't matter what you did in your past. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter what you did not achieve in the past. What matters is that God gives you a present, which is a gift. And you have to seize that present and make something great out of it. And make sure that while you make something or you attempt to make something great out of it, that you're opening doors for people who will maintain them open for others and vice versa. So that's what keeps me going. On a bad day, I know I try to find the like positivity in what happens to me. I try to find the reason why, and the way I reason it is that there's a reason why God allowed for this to happen. Why did it happen? I had shared with you even previously when we had a talk online, a situation that happened to me where I was sexually harassed and physically attacked at a train station. And I thought, Lord, why me? Why did it have to be me? But I remember confronting this fool and telling him to back off from me and that student that we were transferring from Paris to Germany from Ukraine. She was very scared. But when I stood my ground and I told this guy to back off, he backed off. But then when I got in the car and I saw this man harassing and physically attacking a woman that could be my mom's age, and it doesn't matter what age she was, whether she was a woman, a man, or a gender diverse person, he was attacking another person. And when I was in the car with two men that were just like, so I got off the car and I ran and I thought, God, why? But I remember fighting this guy and him punching me and me punching back, and finally a cab driver grabbing this guy and giving him like the beating of a lifetime, and then handing him to other guys at the station because he had to go, and the guys continued to like hit this guy, and then the police came. And then I thought, but why did this happen? And again, I thought repeat offender. Because who wakes up at 5, 6 a.m. to come harass people at a train station?
5 in the morning?
That's at 5 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Like you wake up at 5 and you decide, I'm going to go harass women and sexually assault people. And I'm going to go physically assault women because I can. And I only have that to do. And I know this man has done that to people before. But when this happened to me and I got home and I released and cried, I prayed and I said, thank you, God, for allowing this to happen. Because now he's in custody of the police. Now there's a file with his name. So that if ever, God forbid, he does that to someone, now there's trace that this person is a sexual offender. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee I'm sure he has done that before. So sometimes I'm like, okay, this happened and I was protected. I didn't die. He wasn't able to sexually assault me. I was able to defend myself, and there were angels around that were able to intervene. And now this person his name is in the system. And maybe that's what it took. And maybe there's so many other victims of him who don't know that he's been arrested, but one day will know and will be at peace.
It's crazy how you're able to so quickly just digest that and be like, hey, find the positive spin on it, and just, hey, maybe I was the one that needed to take that burden.
I think, when there's so much shit that happened to you in your life, you realize that there's no bottom in hell. And so the only way now is to go up. And so you're just in a mindset that is like, okay, what now? And how do I make sense of this? How do I make sense of my father being murdered and having to forgive these people? Because if I don't forgive them, I'm going to have thoughts of revenge. And if I entertain the thoughts of revenge, that's going to probably lead to an action that I'm going to regret. And that's going to put my life in jeopardy and that of my family and of my children. I don't want to spend the rest of my days in jail. I want to be able to live. I want to be able to continue my dad's legacy and honor the mentorship that I received from him, because my dad always said that, a great mentor is a mentor that can look back and say, my mentee became greater than me. And so I want to be greater than my dad. So I can't entertain all of the negativity, and I can't entertain the plans of the enemy to make me fail. And I can't entertain a person that is telling me that I can't do something that I know I can do, because God tells me I can do these things. And I realize that in a world in which God is not even loved and recognized unanimously, I can't expect to be loved and recognized unanimously. I mean, people protest against God, so why shouldn't they protest against me? But that's not my problem. That's not where my energy is. My energy is on love. My energy is on the people that matter to me and to whom I matter to. That's where my energy is at.
Wow. That's crazy.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the most inspirational episode of Down the Wire ever. No, I'm just saying.
I know you were trying to wrap this up, getting the off-camera signals. I'm getting the wrap it up. But I just have a couple, like, before we go. Again, I have to ask this first before I get to my main question. But you've collaborated with Michelle Obama. I saw through that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so what happened there?
So there's a minister in Gabon. She actually was the first woman to become minister of sports in my country. Her name is Madame Assiri, Nicolas Assiri. Super inspirational woman. Just such a strong woman. And her big dream was to be able to, not dream, but goal, was to be able to meet Michelle Obama and talk about the programs that she has back home in Gabon for young women. Now, Michelle Obama was on tour for her book, Becoming. Amazing tour, super inspirational. And this lady, Nicole, had asked me to do everything so that she could meet Michelle Obama. So I told her, hey, there's some meet and greet tickets for her event in Montreal. Now, I know you're in Gabon. That's almost like a 20-hour journey to Canada. But I think you should come. And she told me, but Gwen, what do you want me to do with a meet and greet? Just take a picture and move. And I told her, look, again, everybody has different intentions going into spaces. My intention is to connect you with her to another level. I know myself. I know how I work. I know how I operate. If you trust me, get these tickets. Get me a ticket to go with you, and I'll make sure that you leave with our chief of staff's contact and you can continue the conversation after. And she told me, Gwen, I'm betting on you. I'm taking 4 tickets. We're going to go, or 3 tickets, I don't remember. We're going to go. But if I get there and I don't get what you promised me, it's going to be you and me. And I was like, it won't be you and me. Trust me. It will be you, me, Michelle, because I'm going to make something happen. So we get there and there's obviously a huge lineup, like hundreds of people paid for these meet and greet tickets. And one people from the staff that was working at the, I don't know if it was Molson Center, I don't remember. They came to us and I asked, would this lady be able to speak to her? She's a former minister. The person did not care at all.
Of course.
No, it's a picture. This is it. Everybody, I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever. So I get there and that person who was working at the back made sure that she came when it was our turn to interrupt. So when we went, I went with her because you could go as like individuals to get that one picture or together. I went with her and she said, oh, Nicole and Gwen, because they would give her the name of the people and then she would call you. And we came and the first thing I did is like, just introduce ourselves very quickly. It was probably the fastest 30 seconds pitch ever.
Like an elevator pitch.
Yes. Like, my name is Gwen Madiba. This lady is the former minister of Gabon, of sports of Gabon, the first woman to ever become it. She has a program for young women in Gabon that is inspired by one of your programs, actually. And she has flown 20 hours to meet you. And I know that this is not the space and time, but I'm hoping that she can continue that conversation with you. That lady steps in and she's like, it's done, move. And Michelle puts her hand and she says, no, give them time. I want to speak to them. And then she says, where's Mel? Where's Mel? And Mel is her chief of staff. So she says, let's take a picture. Do you want a picture together and individually? I said individually because I knew the lady wanted her picture. She takes a picture. Michelle walks back with us, introduces us to Mel Winter, her chief of staff. And then we end up talking to Mel for like 15 minutes, who gives her contact to the lady and I, and then says, let's follow up. So I was like, okay, job is done. 20-hour flight, job is done. But for me, it's always like, go with a clear vision, clear and concise vision and mission. This is what I'm going to do, and you're going to do it.
That's awesome. I love that. Because I feel like I just see Michelle Obama just like, and then just walk away.
No, but this is also a person that is genuine, right?
Yeah,
so
100%.
It's a person that means what she says, and does what she says she will do. and just the way in which she welcomed us, regardless of the time frame and the fact that her staff was like, no, we're not doing this. She was like, no, we are doing this, and I'm the boss and I decide, and you're gonna give her the card. That was amazing. Yeah.
No, that's a great feeling, especially too when like I love it when like the bouncer or like security's like no, and then the person that's running the show is like, hang on.
Yeah,
I know they're cool.
We know this guy.
You know, there's a song actually about that in France. They say, bouncer, the club doesn't belong to you. The club.
To kind of like piggyback off that, so that you from Gabon to Montreal, you were just in France. You're going to New York Fashion Week. You're in Europe, like working with refugees. You mentioned you're going to be going to Poland soon. You're doing so much globally, and you're seeing how different people operate in different cities around the world. How are you like taking in all of this information that happens in different countries? And then when you come back to a smaller community, whether it be in Ottawa or a small community in France, how are you reciprocating what you've learned to them so that they can understand on such a small level because they haven't seen what you've seen?
You know, the real thing is I'm actually taking what I've learned in Ottawa to the world.
Oh.
So for me, it's Ottawa to the world. I'm so grateful that we live in a country and in a city that is so diverse, where we literally meet people from all over the world. I mainly work with refugees, with immigrants, with people from so many countries, but also with people who were born in this country. And I, because I've been exposed to the diversity here and the diverse sets of challenges as well that people face here, I have been able to work globally. And so I would say it's really my work in Ottawa through Equal Chance and through partnerships with other organizations here and my environment here at home in Ottawa that has allowed me to have such an open mind to the world and better understand the needs of the rest of the world. That's why when I saw these refugees on my television screen here at home in Ottawa being rejected, being pushed around, I also know that there are refugees who arrived in Ottawa that I am directly working with who are facing racism and discrimination. And I could only imagine being in another country and having no support and no organization that can step up for you. So I had to step up and I had to create the Global Black Coalition with the support of organizations from across the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you have?
Yeah, I do, but it's not even so far away from that answer right there. I just realized I asked you earlier about how many outfits you need during one day for Fashion Week.
Oh my God, he's definitely
And
like
now-
the
Not
middle
the time
child.
to insert that question.
And now I feel like a dick because that was a super inspirational and beautiful answer. And I'm like, oh, how many fucking outfits do you need for a day on
it's
Fashion
okay.
Week?
That's like a middle child question. It's the type of question I would definitely ask people because I'm a middle child and I do things like this.
Yeah.
I like zone out of conversations and then I'm like, yeah, so
Well, because like honestly, for me, it feels like kind of. Actually, sorry, I'll let you answer that.
no, yes. I mean, like, it depends on the event. And, you know, talking about taking things globally.
Right.
I always do that through fashion. And if I'm able to take clothes from a designer in Ottawa, like, and bring that to New York or bring that wherever I am, then that's amazing. If I'm able to take a piece of clothes from an international designer in France or like a local designer in Paris that is just trying his best or her best and I'm able to amplify their art on bigger scenes, why not? And I'm actually going to do that in New York, attending several events. So for the outfits, it depends on how many events we have and dinners. And sometimes you can change, like the more I've done was change the outfits about 7 times in one
Damn,
day.
I don't even have 7 outfits.
Yes, you do.
Well, I was thinking it's funny because I was like, damn, like she knows her fashion. What am I gonna wear? Like, what do I? You're looking at like one of the main like,
And I
top
come with
shirts I own.
leggings and like a shirt, a sweatshirt. Yeah.
Yeah, even like last night, I was like, she's done so much media. I'm like, I was like reading a thesaurus last night, trying to make sure I got my words down. I was prepared for
It's
this.
not that serious.
But I'm playing. I wanted to kind of conclude with sponsored by God and just kind of a sneak peek at Harvest Season 5.
Harvest Season 5 is the priceless season. I centered it around priceless because in a world in which we are in like so in a society that is a consumer society, we're always buying. We're always putting a price to everything, and everybody seems to know, or not everybody. I mean, a lot of people seem to know the price of everything and the value of nothing. And so I wanted that message out there. Know your value, know your worth, know that you're priceless. There's not enough money that could buy you, buy your dignity, buy your life. And so this season we designed like a price tag, and instead of numbers, it's the word priceless. And I just want people to embrace that, the fact that they're priceless and they're limitless in everything that they can achieve. So Harvest Season 5 is the priceless season.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
As soon as you said that, I was like, but how are you going to sell it then?
True. Many people.
If I looked at a t-shirt and I went to a store and I looked at a t-shirt or anything, and the tag just said priceless, I'm like, yeah, I probably don't belong in this store.
But that's a great, like you're actually giving me such a great idea, because we're going to have a lunch for this collection, and I wanted to give out clothes, right?
Well, that's what I thought you were going to do. It's just like, hey, just keep it, man. You seem like a good enough person. It's like, no, my next collection, free.
Priceless.
Yeah, free.
And so, the priceless one is also one for which we will raise funds to help us continue our work in Ukraine. So instead of having people buy clothes the day of the lunch, it's just they're going to make a donation directly to the GBC for the work that we're doing. And so when they're going to come in, it's going to be priceless. So it's just like donate whatever you want. Even if you want to donate $1 or 50 cents, if that's all you have, then that's a blessing. Yeah.
I think we mentioned this at the start, but sponsored by God is your clothing brand.
Yes.
Just slide that in there just in case.
It is.
But I know I said we'd take 30 minutes of your time, but I lied. We took a little bit more than that.
I'm happy to be here.
This has been an amazing conversation. I appreciate you stopping by.
Yes,
we have
thank
more
you so
stuff
much.
coming out with her on the way. Stay tuned. I don't know if I can say.
Yeah, you can say that we have more stuff coming out later on, to be determined.
In a different format.
You'll see it.
Through a different company.
We'll shout it out.
Yeah. Did you have final remarks? Questions?
Like, follow, subscribe.
Yes.
Like, follow, subscribe. Fuck. We meant to say it at the beginning.
I know.
Oh, we were so good at it last week, too. We said it like 8 times. Fuck.
And no one liked, follow, or subscribe.
No one like, follow, subscribe. Maybe we say it 7 times this time.
Thank you so much for coming on. Stay tuned. Harvest Season 5. Also, just, I don't know, keep updated with everything you got going on. You got so much stuff going on. It's hard to keep track.
Go do something good in the world right now. I know you're feeling inspired after this conversation, because I am. Like, come on, go do something or touch some grass at least.
Help an old lady walk across the street today.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Also, keep on the lookout your show, Growing Pains.
Growing forward.
Coming out.
That's inspirational. That's like a sitcom about children. Come on, man.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll catch you guys next week.
Peace.